Good morning. Today I'm going to share with you a story about a young boy. 60 years ago, someone gave a piece of chocolate to a 12-year-old boy in China. At that time, the boy often went without food for days, so that little piece of chocolate was perhaps the best thing that happened to him for a long time. And he told himself he must visit Hong Kong because that's where that chocolate came from, so it was so marvelous. And that little boy decided that he smuggled himself to Hong Kong. He was 12 years old. And on the night he arrived Hong Kong, he went to a factory and started to work in the garment factory. And this young, brave little boy is Jimmy Lai, my friend, my hero, and my mentor. In 1989, when Tiananmen Square massacre happened, Jimmy was already a very successful businessman. He had a huge fashion chain in China. But he was so worried about the future of Hong Kong and China. So he decided to use his business acumen to defend freedom. He started his first business venture, the Next magazine. In his magazine column, he called the Chinese premier, Li Peng, a scumbag. He just wrote that. Li Peng is a scumbag. And the Chinese Communist Party, of course, was not happy about it, and they threatened to close down all Jimmy's business in China. So Jimmy, for being who he is, he sold his fashion chain at I don't know how much, but he sold it, and then he decided he would focus himself on just one thing, the business of defending Hong Kong's freedom. So he started a newspaper company called Apple Daily in 1995. For a very, very long time, when we Hong Kong people talked about Apple, it was the newspaper, not the phone company. So just, how successful it was. And in 2004, myself and two other friends started the Lion Rock Institute. We thought, hey, we might get some help from Jimmy. So I wrote him an email, and Jimmy replied immediately, like in a few minutes he replied, and he said, come to my office tomorrow. So I went. We talked about the Lion Rock Institute. And I remember he told me, he said, look, Simon, if you want to defend freedom, you have to be able to stand on your own. Come work with me. Learn how to do business. So I joined his company. In the past 17 years, he's not only my boss, he is also my mentor, someone I look up to for ideas, wisdom, and sometimes a smack in the head. 2019, June 30th, that was the day before Chinese imposed the sedition legislation to Hong Kong. I had my worst writer's block in my career. I stared at my computer for 5 hours. There was only one line. I said, in Hong Kong, no one should sacrifice anything. I didn't know how to continue, so I text my editor, say, hey, today I'm not going to send anything, sorry. And then I text Jimmy, and he replied, you should go. Jimmy knew very well Hong Kong was not safe. He knew it well. He could have left, but he stayed. He chose to be there. He told me Hong Kong gave him everything, so it is time for him to give Hong Kong something. A few weeks after I left Hong Kong, police ransacked Apple Daily. They arrested Jimmy, took away the computers at the company. They arrested a few other newspaper management. But our reporters insisted on printing the newspaper, so we continued to print. And then the police came again, another raid, and they froze the bank accounts of the company. We still keep printing because we still have the paper. We still keep posting on the internet. And then they arrested a few more. After 10 months of harassment and intimidation, unfortunately, Apple Daily ceased operating in Hong Kong in June this year. Having said that, I must say our people in Hong Kong still insist on fighting for freedom. We stopped updating the apps on the Apple App Store, but a lot of people still keep that app in their phone, hoping one day it will come back. This morning, Jimmy defended himself in court. It was over a charge of illegal assembly last year on June 4th. And here is what he said in the court in defense, and let me share. I lit a candle in front of reporters to remind the world of those young men and women who, 31 years ago in Tiananmen Square, put truth, justice, and goodness about their lives. If commemorating those who died because of injustice is a crime, then let me suffer the punishment, so I may share the burden and glory of those young men and women who shed blood on June 4th. Lord, remember those who shed blood, but do not remember their cruelty. Remember the fruit those young men and women have borne because of what they did, and grant, Lord, the fruit they have borne be their redemption. May the power of love of the weak prevails over the power of destruction of the strong. So that's what Jimmy said in the court. And I know people in Hong Kong still keep on fighting, and although it is going to be a tough fight, but I still remember what Jimmy said. We have to be able to stand on our own. And the most important thing is, it all started with a small piece of chocolate from some random strangers. And I think once people tasted the freedom, the sweetness of which, they cannot forget it, and they will fight to the very last moment. Thank you.